So, good morning. And today is a very interesting and deep topic, and I didn't expect to talk about it, but topic is masturbation. So, most likely, the majority of people do this, and it is condoned as something that is okay. But in actuality, there are a lot of hidden dangers in practicing this. And I want to tell you my story. So, from when I was a child, I went through the difficult experience of actually being molested. And of course, at a young age, that also piques the sexual appetite. And not knowing what else to do, I fell into the trap of masturbating. And throughout the years of doing that, I experienced neuropathy. Neuropathy is a deadening of the nerve endings, and because the body is so resilient, the body actually heals itself very quickly. So I could feel it in a very small spot on the left side of my thigh area. I could actually see dark spots where the skin was lacking circulation. I could feel it in my big toe on my left side. And also, other things that come along with practicing that type of thing is low energy. Your energy actually begins to be drained because as human beings, we only have a certain amount of life force or life energy, and then we no longer exist. This is actually proven in science by what is known as the telomeres. So on the end of your DNA, there are what looks like caps, or could be described as shoelace strings. And at the end of a shoelace, you'll see that little plastic piece that's holding the actual shoelace together. And that's what a telomere somewhat looks like on the inside of our bodies. And once that telomere is gone, our DNA actually is not able to replicate for the production of life, and we expire. So when we use up our vital forces, what ends up happening is we expire. And this is one of the ways that our vital forces end up getting used up. But back to my story, I didn't really think about that this thing was a moral issue. For me, what ended up happening was there was no other outlet. I knew I wasn't the type of person to maybe perhaps take the plunge. I was too scared of actually doing anything with another person. So the only way to relieve that sexual frustration was to actually to masturbate. So I did that for my teen years, my young adult years, and to the point where I realized I was actually a slave or addicted to this thing. And that even in the middle of the night, I would find myself like reaching to actually perform or commit the act of masturbation, which was really kind of strange to me because that meant that I didn't really have control over myself or my mind in that area anymore. And something that also is really interesting is that we may not experience this consciously, but subconsciously, masturbation actually leaves an impress or an imprint of shame on us. And so shame is something that can be so deep-seated and buried so deep that we're not actually able to deal with it or process it until we are in a place of great safety, physically, mentally, emotionally. So some things that are in our psyche never actually get dealt with until we've reached that level, and majority of us don't reach that level because the world is a very dangerous place. So it's very easy to deny the fact that masturbation actually leaves a seed of shame. So I realized this, and I realized it wasn't healthy. And especially as a female Christian, um, it was just something I knew deep down inside that God did not want for me to do. So, what ended up happening is I had to really cry out to God. And it was almost like I had gone through cycles of stopping and starting, stopping and starting, because I believe that masturbation is a true addiction. Um, it's like any other addiction, dealing with any other addiction. It takes time and effort and space. And so, you have to deal with triggers and different things. It's almost like comparing it to, and this is a comparison, this is, every addiction is different, every person is different, but comparing it to like alcoholics, what happens is that you have to be sober for a time. You have to actually, distance yourself from that behavior. And this is the reason why in Alcoholics Anonymous they give chips. How long have you been sober? How long have you not been in the act of drinking? And so it's like that as well. With any addiction, you have to actually process it with time. And over time, you become free from that addiction when you get more space away from actually committing that actual act. But what I wanted to really share with you is my story on this experience. And I remember just being in a particular place in my life that was so difficult for me to process that it was just, everything seemed to be falling apart at the same time. It was the weirdest experience. But during that time, I cried out to God, and I was like, Lord, I've done everything I know how to do to break this. I've prayed, I've fasted, I've put on a ton of clothes in the middle of the night. I've done everything I know how to do, and I cannot break this habit. If you don't take this away from me, I'm asking for you to actually take my life, because I don't want to live with this. And it may not be that deep or desperate for anyone else, but I know that what I want for myself is I want to be as close to God as possible. I want to live as a friend of God, and I want to know Him personally and very deeply. And in order to do that, sin cannot be a part of my life, because sin separates us from God. And so I just clung to God in that moment. I remember just being at the bottom of my bed and crying and being very honest and serious and genuine about the situation. And that's when it broke. It was almost like years had gone by and I didn't actually ask God to take it away. I was trying to get rid of it. Like dieting. You just put the fork down, or you walk away, or you just do whatever you have to do. You go for a walk, or you exercise. You do whatever you have to do to get rid of the weight and to take it off. But this wasn't like dieting. This was sin, and it's something I couldn't remove myself. And I had tried and tried and tried, and it did not work. I had to cry out to God. And there's a Bible verse that says, "You have not striven unto blood." And what that means is, I did not actually want to die to that sin just yet. I didn't actually want God to take it away. I thought it did, but I didn't. But I can tell you, my deliverance experience with this, I never felt better, more whole as a person, more at peace. I wasn't driven by emotions or desires. It was a freedom that I can't explain, but a freedom that I hope everyone has a chance to experience. Because the whole world is telling everyone that masturbation is okay and that it's normal, when in fact it's very detrimental to the human physiology, the human body. It weakens your life force. Um, it can deaden your nervous cells, your tissues. It has an effect overall, a negative effect. And God asked me to share this so that other people can be free. And that I hope that this is helpful, because one thing I think I can say is all of us right now, including myself, need guidance and wisdom in a world that doesn't exactly give us the right answers. So be blessed and stay free. Bye for now.